Good morning, folks. Kevin here with KDI with your Tuesday morning, August 25th, 2026 grain update. I want to go through just a couple of the main bullish bearish drivers in the markets and then follow that with some tool usage stuff that we're available to do now. There was some targets, some small targets we can reach out there a bit and get some numbers that are better than today. So I'm not recommending these. I'm just letting you know they are there. So if they interest you, please call. Please, let's go through it and see if that's a good move for you. So first off, okay, so the drivers. So last night, wheat futures sold off pretty hard. Russia announced they were dropping their export tariff system, and they're not a tariff, their tax, their export tax, and that effectively lowers the price of wheat FOB Russia, which is already just dirt cheap because they can't sell it, and that moved the futures down pretty hard for a bit. We're down double figures in all the markets, but at the end of the day, you still can't export anything out of there, so it doesn't matter what the tax is. Excuse me. You continue to see a large divergence between like Eastern European cash markets like Romanian wheat and Russian wheat. The prices are going in opposite directions. Romania stuff is going straight up, which is to me is a glimpse of the world market. Should the Black Sea continue to stay closed, whereas the Russian price is just there's nowhere to take the wheat. Everything's full. They can't move it. The farmers can't get paid for it. They've got quite a situation there. So another bearish driver is the India dropped all of their export, or they what they did is they opened up their wheat for export, so they've got no limitations on their wheat exports right now. Good news for us, their price still above the world market, but if prices move higher, that'll come into play some. I don't think they'll have a large volume, mostly because they've got a weak monsoon season so far. It's behind normal. And when they get behind normal, their crop typically comes in behind normal too. So they're not going to have a lot of room to export, but it was a headline. The computers sold it off, and that's what we get. So we'll watch that going forward. On the big news, on the good side, that corn yield last week, man, 173. If you recall, I started the year at 178. We had all the fertilizer chaos, and I thought, okay, let's start at 178. There's no reason to start in the 180s, especially with what looked like threatening weather to me. It's like they've got a lot of heat coming into that. That ridge, that kind of that Pacific trough right off the western coast, pushed a ridge up and over the center of the country. And that pattern looked like it was going to stick. So it's one of the reasons I stayed with 178. And then you see Pro Farmer at 173. Wow. That number doesn't work. That doesn't work at all on the balance sheet. That runs the world stocks to use way too tight. And you're hearing lots of abandonment and lots of silage. Just lots of disasters down in the kind of the fringe Southwest Plains, and I think those areas were pretty strong last year, which helped keep the average up. We're not seeing that this year, so overall, if 173 is right, boy, we're too cheap still. We're too cheap, and so if you look at corn with its $1.50 basis to Portland, $1.50 plus, I should say, to Portland. If you've got cash corn at $5 on the futures, or I'm sorry, you've got futures corn at $5 you throw $1.50 basis on that, that's $6.50 in Portland, and here we got white wheat at $6.50. So that kind of gives you an idea how the price of white wheat's doing. It's priced as feed. So we'll watch that as well, because I don't that if the Australians tend to get in a little bit of a hiccup with their weather, which they're trending behind, then that white wheat number's got to move up quite a bit. So we'll watch that unless Australia gets bailed. I mean, their spring starts here in a week or two, so it's still coming out of winter there. Oh, lots of time, but their acreage is way off. But yeah, that I think that fertilizer hiccup, and the heat there was probably a little lack of side dressing from fertilizer prices, just some resistance to pouring the inputs to the crop, kind of like where we've seen everywhere this year, from that input issue we had last spring. We kind of still do. You're just not going to see those big yields that the market and the governments want to see. So anyway, that's going to be interesting. The other bullish driver really is well, it's obviously the Black Sea. I mean, how long is this going to continue? There's chatter over the weekend that Ukraine and Russia were both trying to set up some sort of deal that they wouldn't attack the grain logistics anymore. But so you've always got that threat, and the market. To me, the futures market acts like it expects some sort of grain agreement. It expects an agreement to allow grain to flow, which is maybe one of the reasons why we haven't seen a higher move in these markets. Which brings me to my next point. Even though we haven't seen a real big move in these markets, if you look at today's values, the first one that jumps off the page is Kansas City wheat. We're only 30 cents away from $8.30 on the December 27, so next December, on the futures. So if a guy wanted to, this is talking Pacific Northwest, and again, these are just hypothetical tools here. I mean, not hypothetical tools, but hypothetical situations that I'm not recommending outright. I'll do that on my weekly reports that I send out when it looks like a time to recommend it. But if a guy wanted to, you could throw an order in at $8.30 a bushel, which is 30 cents above today's market. And if that hits, that's in the December 27 hard red winter futures. If that hits and we get our normal 75-cent basis, that's going to take you over $9 Portland. So even with today's inputs, I think we can make $9 work. So, I mean, most of you, that's going to be $8 to the farm, but still $8 to the farm plus whatever else we get down the pipe, we'll probably make a little bit of money. So, and I think that's a high enough number that you'll probably see quite a bit of acreage go in the Southern Plains this fall. It's the biggest number we've had there for a while. So like I said, it's just still 30 cents out from being able to get $9, but with a normal basis, that's what you're looking at. White wheat, similar, not as good. I mean, we're at what are we at? 720, 725, or that D27 mark. And so if you put in an order about 30 cents above that, put it to 760, we get our historical normal basis plus 75, you're going to be 810, 820. Somewhere in that range, 810 to 820, 830. And, again, that's better numbers we've seen in a long time. And we're still 30 cents from able to achieve that. But, give that some thought. Give that thought as a target. Because that's how those hedge derives work. And you ask yourself, and here's another thing. On old crop, right now, we're moving into September here pretty quick. Basis is terrible because the futures have made a move. White wheat's still trading as feed wheat. Basis may or may not improve by December, but what you can do is you can throw an order in for March, go out and do a hedge to arrive for March delivery, February delivery, and see if that basis doesn't line up. And and this is without looking at it. We're over $7 in that March contract on the futures. So if we're over 7, all of a sudden that basis gets back to 0, or gets, let's say we get a plus 40 basis, you're looking at 7.5. So 750 Portland for white wheat by February, which is not that many months away. So 750 is a whole lot better than the 650 you're being bid today. So there's some opportunities out there. They're not great. I'd like to see these markets actually trade what's happening now in the Black Sea versus just being scared of the Russian supply. Because here's the thing that matters. Let's say they do have a ceasefire tonight or tomorrow, and we go full into Russian wheat exports flooding the world. That's going to be a temporary thing, because with the corn balance sheet the way it is and the overall world demand sheet the way it is, we're still going to tighten up over last year. And if corn's headed to 550 or 6, that's going to move corn basis or corn and cash prices in the Northwest to 650 to 7. Why is white wheat going to stay at 650 if corn's at 7? See, so there's immediate risk if there's a ceasefire. We're going to you'd see a very harsh reaction in futures. We'll probably drop 50 cents in 2 days. Cash probably drop 30 cents in 2 days. But then there should be stability, because the world situation's still tight. Because right now, the Western EU had that disaster of a corn crop. You can't get to Ukraine's corn crop. The U.S. corn crop obviously is going to be off from last year. And then at the end of the day, you still got an El Nino hitting South America, so we don't know what that's going to do yet. So you got a lot of stuff going on here that's supportive. A lot of stuff that's supportive. But like I said, the futures are trading like they expect the Black Sea to open. And like I say, if the longer it stays shut, the harder it's going to be to get caught back up. And so anyway, hope that helps. Give a call. We can run through those tools. We can run through all the prices and targets and try to get situated. So, I mean, it's a tough one, because it's like, should I act and get these numbers now because they're better than what we've seen, with those March hedge to arrives, and then start looking at D's 27 hedge to arrives? Or do we risk the Black Sea staying shut for another month, and then all of a sudden we add $1 or $2 to all these markets, and then gives us a much better opportunity to get stuff done? So that's kind of where we're at. So have a good day.